Every year, roughly 30,000 new consumer products are launched into the wild.
Yeah, and over 95% of them completely fail.
95%. I mean, it's basically a graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
And today we are, walking through that graveyard of failed products to look at the invisible, kind of ruthless gatekeepers who put them there.
Right, because it really is an invisible process to most of us.
Exactly. Have you ever walked down the aisles of a major store, say a Walmart or a Target, maybe a Best Buy, and you just pick up a seemingly random product sitting perfectly placed on the shelf and wondered, how on earth did this survive the gauntlet to get here?
I do that all the time. You just look at the shelf and think, how did this specific thing make the cut?
Right. You look this item, let's imagine it's a brand new high-tech garlic press, and you realize there is this massive, hidden, almost mysterious machine that somehow transported an idea from someone's brain onto this specific piece of metal shelving.
It truly is a modern marvel, really, when you stop to dissect the sheer volume of logistics, the negotiations, and just the brutal corporate filters involved.
Yeah, it looks so easy from the outside.
It looks completely seamless to the shopper, just tossing it into their cart. But behind the scenes, getting onto that shelf is a highly complex battlefield.
A battlefield where the odds are not in your favor.
Not at all. The power dynamics are completely skewed toward the retailer, and most creators walk in totally blind to the actual rules of engagement.
Which is exactly why we're taking you behind the curtain of that battlefield today. Our mission for this deep dive is to act as your shortcut to becoming well-informed on these opaque, hidden realities of the retail industry.
And we've got a really great roadmap for this.
We do. We are looking at a fantastic insider source today. It's an article titled Top 10 Mistakes New Retail Vendors Make, and it comes to us from Retailbound, which is a full-service retail management consultancy.
But the crucial detail here is the author, Johann Jacob.
Right. He's the president and founder of Retailbound.
But before that, and this is the important part, he was an actual retail buyer for major chains.
That is the ultimate insider perspective, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A retail buyer is basically the apex predator in this ecosystem. They manage multi-million-dollar categories. Their bonuses are tied entirely to how well their specific shelf space performs.
Wow, so it's their own money on the line, too.
Exactly. And they are the sole gatekeepers who say yes or no to your high-tech garlic press.
So when someone with that specific background details where vendors fail, it isn't, just academic theory.
No, it is a dispatch from the front lines. The retail world is arguably one of the most ruthless environments in business, but this source makes it clear that the most fatal errors are structural.
And predictable, right?
Very predictable. And entirely avoidable if you actually understand the retailer's perspective.
Okay, let's unpack this. We aren't just going to read down a list of warnings today. We are going to decode these 10 pitfalls by following the hypothetical journey of our high-tech garlic press through 4 distinct stages of retail readiness.
I like that approach. Let's start with stage 1.
Stage 1 of this journey is all about objectively validating the vision. Because before you can even think about securing a meeting in some windowless corporate office in Bentonville or Minneapolis, you have to take a deeply uncomfortable look at your actual product.
And uncomfortable really is the right word here.
Yeah.
Yeah. The source explicitly calls out the danger of skipping rigorous, unbiased market research. That's mistake number 7 on their list. A lot of creators fall into this validation trap.
How does that happen?
Well, they build a prototype, they show it to their immediate circle, and because their family and friends want to be supportive, they get glowing reviews.
Oh, sure.
And then the creator mistakes this social validation for actual market validation.
It's a classic echo chamber. I mean, asking your friends if your product is good is like asking your dog if the steak you cooked is tasty. They're completely biased.
That's exactly it. And a massive big box retailer obviously doesn't care if a small circle of enthusiasts or, your supportive friends like the product.
Right. They care if 1 million complete strangers will spend $30 on it.
Precisely.
So how does the source suggest a vendor actually prove that?
Real market validation requires gathering data from entirely unbiased consumers in a defined target demographic. The source actually recommends partnering with professional market research firms to find out if there is verifiable statistical demand.
Hard data.
You need hard data proving that someone who has zero emotional connection to you is willing to part with their hard-earned money for this specific solution.
And if you don't have that?
If you can't prove that with data, a retail buyer won't even finish their coffee during your pitch.
Wow. Okay, so once you've proven that the market actually wants the product, you have to prove that you actually own it.
Yes, the legal side.
Which brings us to mistake number 8, the legal blind spot. Many new vendors just assume their product idea is naturally unique, so they completely skip rigorous patent and trademark searches.
Which is wildly dangerous.
But I have to play devil's advocate here for a second, though. Patent litigation is incredibly expensive. Why wouldn't a scrappy startup just launch first, prove the concept, and, worry about the intellectual property lawyers later?
What's fascinating here is the psychology of the creator clashing with the risk aversion of the retailer.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when someone invents something, there's this profound emotional attachment. Their brain naturally resists the idea that someone else might have thought of it first.
Right, it's their baby.
Exactly. But if you skip hiring a qualified attorney to clear the IP before you pitch, you are essentially asking a giant retailer to take on your legal liability.
Oh, I see.
Think about it. If Target puts your garlic press on 3,000 shelves and it turns out you infringed on an existing patent, Target gets dragged into that lawsuit.
And they are not going to let that happen.
Buyers will not take that risk. You could build a whole supply chain just to get issued a cease and desist before you even reach a loading dock.
So you have the market data and you have the legal clearance. But the final hurdle of this first stage, mistake number 2, is lacking product mastery.
Yes, knowing your own product inside and out.
The source argues that even if you didn't personally engineer the item, like maybe you bought the rights or you're just a distributor, you have to know the granular mechanics of your business. But what does that actually mean in practice? What is a buyer going to ask that trips people up?
They are going to stress test your margins. Retail buyers, as we established, are fielding thousands of pitches. They don't just want to know what the product does, they want to know the math behind it.
Right, the numbers.
If you sit down and they ask about your wholesale pricing tiers, meaning, the specific discount you can offer if they order 10,000 units versus 50,000 units, you need the spreadsheet memorized.
No fumbling around.
Zero fumbling. They will ask about your landed costs, which is the total price of creating the product, shipping it across the ocean, paying the tariffs, and getting it to their distribution center.
And if you don't know,
If you hesitate, or say you need to check with your manufacturer and get back to them, the meeting is over. It signals that you don't actually control your own supply chain.
wow. So you have to know your product's financial anatomy better than you know yourself.
Pretty much.
Assuming you survive that scrutiny, we move into stage 2 of the journey. You've validated the market, you're legally cleared, and your margins are airtight.
This is a critical transition.
The human instinct at this point screams, let's fire up the machines and start manufacturing. But according to our source, this is exactly where the most devastating financial errors occur. This is the trap of premature scaling.
Precisely. And it starts with the assumption that a great product will just, sell itself once it's on the shelf.
Right, mistake number 5.
Yeah, mistake 5. The source highlights the massive error of neglecting a comprehensive business and marketing plan. Vendors often focus 100% of their energy on convincing the retail buyer to put the item on the shelf, but they have zero strategy for getting the end consumer to take it off the shelf.
Right, because the retailer is essentially just renting you the real estate. They aren't going to run a national ad campaign for your specific garlic press.
No, of course not. You have to drive the foot traffic to their store.
It's on you.
Exactly. Buyers want to see your roadmap. They want to see your dedicated marketing budget, your social media strategy, and your distribution logistics.
Because if you
don't have a plan to generate consumer velocity, you are just going to gather dust on their shelf, which directly hurts the buyer's metrics.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though, and honestly, a bit counterintuitive.
Okay, let's hear it.
The source gives a massive warning. This is mistake number 4 against overproducing inventory too early. The temptation is to manufacture a huge run of the product before you ever secure a retail deal.
A very common, very expensive mistake.
But wait a second, let me challenge this. If I am a relatively unknown creator trying to land a massive national account, shouldn't I prove to the buyer that I'm a serious player with operational capacity? Doesn't showing up and saying, hey, I have a warehouse full of 50,000 units ready to ship to your stores tomorrow, doesn't that make me look incredibly reliable?
This raises an important question about how retail negotiations actually function in reality versus how we, imagine them in our heads.
Right, the expectation versus reality.
You would think having massive inventory proves you are ready, but in a corporate negotiation, it actually traps you.
Traps you how?
You are assuming the retailer wants the exact version of the product you decided to make. They rarely do.
Wait, so they want to play product designer?
In a way, yeah, yes, they do. Think about it like pouring a massive concrete foundation for a house before the architect has finished the blueprints.
Oh, that's a great analogy.
When you sit down with a buyer, they might say, "We love the garlic press, but your packaging is 4 inches deep.
Mm.
Our specific planogram for the kitchen gadget aisle only accommodates boxes that are exactly 3 inches deep."
Oh, wow.
Or they might say, "We want to carry this, but to fit into our good, better, best pricing strategy, we need you to hit a lower price point," which means you need to swap out that stainless steel handle for a high-grade plastic one.
Oh, I see. If you already have 50,000 units sitting in a warehouse, you are completely paralyzed.
Exactly.
You can't make the packaging smaller, and you can't just change the handle on 50,000 assembled units. You've basically anchored yourself to a specific iteration of the product?
And if you can't pivot to meet their demands, they will just pass.
Mm.
Your perceived strength, having all that inventory ready to go, becomes your fatal weakness because you have zero flexibility.
So what's the alternative?
The golden rule from the source material here is to focus entirely on high-quality, flawless samples for the pitch.
Just samples.
Just samples. You do not ramp up mass production until you have a legally binding purchase order, a PO in your hand.
And a PO is the real deal.
A PO is the official contract from the retailer agreeing to buy a specific amount at a specific price under specific conditions. Till you have that piece of paper, mass manufacturing is basically just high-stakes gambling.
That is a phenomenal paradigm shift. So you have your marketing plan, your flawless samples, and you are keeping your powder dry on manufacturing.
Get ready for the real work.
Right. Now we enter stage 3, the harsh reality of the retail machine. This is the phase where optimistic expectations violently crash into corporate reality.
This is where the attrition rate is the highest, without a doubt.
We're looking at mistakes 6, 3, and 9 here.
Selling to titans like Walmart or Best Buy is objectively one of the most demanding challenges in modern business. The Force notes that suppliers consistently underestimate the sheer amount of capital, time, and endurance it takes just to maintain the account once you land it.
And a huge part of that friction is the administrative burden. The author points out that there are 0 shortcuts. Before you get that purchase order, you have to navigate the labyrinth of vendor paperwork.
The dreaded paperwork.
And the timeline is agonizing, right? Getting a product developed, tested, packaged, and actually placed on a physical shelf takes months, if not multiple years.
People think it happens overnight.
Exactly. People treat getting into retail like a 100-meter sprint, but it's actually a multi-year ultra marathon through a mountain of paperwork. But looking at this from the outside, it feels deeply inefficient. If I have a great product that customers want, why does a modern data-driven retailer drag the process out for 2 years with endless forms? So what does this all mean for the everyday inventor who might literally run out of money while waiting years for a yes?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it completely changes how you view all that tedious bureaucracy.
How so?
We are talking about vendor compliance manuals, documents that can be hundreds of pages long. They dictate exactly how your shipping pallets must be stacked, what specific EDI software you must use to communicate inventory levels, and the precise placement of barcodes.
Wait, what was that? EDI software?
Oh, electronic data interchange. It's how the retailer's computers talk directly to your computers to reorder stock. If you mess that up, the shelves go empty.
Got it. And the barcodes, too.
Yep. And if your delivery truck is 15 minutes late to their distribution center, you get hit with a financial penalty called a chargeback.
That sounds like an absolute administrative nightmare for a small team.
It is. But retailers use this bureaucracy as a deliberate stress test.
A stress test.
Think about the risk the retailer is taking here. If they allocate shelf space to your product in 3,000 stores nationwide, and a viral TikTok makes it sell out in 2 days, they need to know you have the operational maturity to restock them globally without missing a single beat.
Right, they can't afford empty shelves.
Exactly. So if an inventor gets frustrated and gives up because the routing guides are too complicated, or if they complain about the timeline, it proves to the buyer that this vendor could never survive the rigorous daily demands of mass distribution.
So the paperwork isn't just red tape.
No, it is the filter that separates the hobbyists from the institutional players.
The bureaucracy is the filter. That makes total sense.
Well,
They are testing your infrastructure before they hand you the keys to their supply chain.
precisely.
Which brings us perfectly to our final stage, stage 4, the danger of the solopreneur ego.
Ah, yes. The ego.
Because this process is so opaque, because the timeline is this multi-year ultra marathon we just talked about, and because the paperwork is a literal stress test, vendors inevitably hit a wall.
They get overwhelmed.
Right. They realize they are out of their depth and they look for help. But the source warns that who you choose to listen to at this critical juncture will completely dictate your survival.
The primary mistake here, mistake number one, is taking advice from the wrong people.
Who are the wrong people?
The internet is absolutely flooded with charlatans, fake experts who guarantee they can get your product into big box retailers for an upfront fee, but they entirely lack real-world inside experience.
The source actually invokes P.T. Barnum's famous quote here, "There's a sucker born every minute."
It's a very predatory ecosystem out there.
But how exactly do these fake experts operate? What are they selling that makes desperate vendors so eager to just, open their wallets?
They usually sell the illusion of access.
Like, I know a guy.
Exactly. They claim they have a guy at Target, or they promise to put your product in some digital showroom that buyers supposedly browse every day. They traffic in vanity metrics.
But that doesn't actually work.
No. Retail buyers don't buy products based on a warm introduction from a middleman. They buy based on data, margins, and supply chain reliability. A fake expert will take your money and secure zero purchase orders because they fundamentally don't understand the internal mechanics of the retailer.
And the alternative trap to hiring a charlatan is trying to execute everything yourself. Right. Mistake number 10.
The DIY trap.
The source points out that entrepreneurs, by their very nature, try to save money by handling every aspect of the business themselves. They design the packaging on their laptop, they try to navigate the compliance manuals alone, and they attempt to negotiate complex vendor agreements without legal counsel.
Which is incredibly costly in the long run.
It's like trying to do your own dental work to save a copay.
That's exactly what it's like. The DIY approach almost guarantees you will signal to a seasoned buyer that you are an amateur. You have to remember who you were sitting across from in these meetings.
Right, these buyers are sharks.
They are negotiating with multi-billion-dollar conglomerates all day long. If your pitch deck looks like it was made on a Sunday afternoon, or if your packaging design doesn't account for the structural integrity required to survive a cross-country freight trip, you are dead in the water.
There's a really painful irony here.
That's that.
The very traits that make someone a successful inventor, being fiercely independent, resourceful, and stubborn, those become their fatal flaws when trying to scale into mass retail. It's like pouring your own concrete foundation to save money, only to realize the house is sinking.
It really is a paradox.
So if you can't do it yourself, and you definitely can't trust the internet gurus, what does the source suggest?
You must invest in actual specialists. This is where consultancies like Retailbound actually come into play.
Because they have the real experience.
Exactly. They bridge the gap by providing the one thing a solo creator lacks: actual category management experience. Real consultants don't just introduce you to a buyer. They help you engineer the entire presentation to prove that your garlic press will generate more dollars per square inch of shelf space than the incumbent product you're trying to replace.
That's the real metric. Dollars per square inch.
Always. Looking retail-ready isn't a happy accident. It is highly engineered by leveraging decades of combined experience in merchandising, pricing architecture, and quality control. You simply cannot replicate that competitive advantage by watching a few online tutorials.
You really can't. It is a completely different language. So if we pull all of these threads together and map out the real journey for you, the listener, breaking into mass retail is not about having a brilliant idea and a stroke of luck. It is a methodical, highly defensive process.
It's a strategy.
Right. First, you have to validate your vision with cold, hard data and legal clearance, leaving your ego and your friends' applause at the door. Second, you have to sidestep the massive trap of premature scaling, build a marketing engine to drive consumers to the store, and whatever you do, do not manufacture massive inventory until you are holding a binding purchase order.
Crucial point right there.
Third, you must respect the brutal reality of the retail machine. It is a multi-year ultramarathon where grueling bureaucracy is used as a deliberate test of your corporate endurance. And finally, drop the DIY ego. Avoid the internet charlatans and invest in specialized experts who understand category management and can make your operation look truly retail-ready to an institutional buyer.
When you look at the source material through this lens, it takes a process that usually feels chaotic, intimidating, and frankly, entirely secretive, and it transforms it into a logical sequence of hurdles.
It makes it manageable.
It removes the mystery, which ultimately gives you back your agency as a creator.
It absolutely does. It cuts right through the noise of the retail world. But as we wrap up this deep dive into the realities of the physical shelf, I want to leave you with a final thought to really mull over.
Oh, a parting thought.
Yeah. We talked heavily about that moment in stage 2 where you sit down with a major retail buyer and they routinely demand changes. They might require a cheaper material, a different color, smaller packaging, or an entirely different price point before they ever issue that golden purchase order.
Happens every day.
So if you are the inventor, at what point does your invention stop being your vision and start becoming the retailer's? It's kind of like the classic Ship of Theseus paradox, but for consumer goods.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. If you change the handle, shrink the box, and slash the price, is it still the product you dreamed up in your garage? How much of your original soul are you truly willing to compromise just to see your creation sitting under the fluorescent lights of a major big box store?
It's a profound question.
It's a heavy question, and it's one you have to answer for yourself long before you ever walk into that pitch meeting.